if you use this SOP builder, it creates a very consistent, you can literally, copy and paste it into a Google Drive. And so like I store a ton of things like that inside of a locked Google Drive so that no one else can edit it. And then I will combine them all together and then put them back into a custom GPT that's a searchable GPT. So then you can go through that and just literally ask the question and it answers it completely.
Today's episode is powered by Rilla Voice.
Rilla has taken those cumbersome, time-consuming ride-alongs and streamlined the entire process by leveraging AI technology to do dozens or hundreds of ride-alongs virtually every single day.
They also provide you, the owner or manager, with the top performers KPI metrics designed easily for you to coach your team into rock stars.
Schedule a demo today at www.rilla.com.
Yo, Joshua, really fast, I want to talk about online scheduling for the trades and how they should be affordable, effective, and easy to manage. Let's take a really quick second here and talk to share a little bit about the latest group of experts that we've teamed up with, Autobot.ai. Our team of industry experts has developed a best-in-class scheduling app that seamlessly integrates with your CRM. Every booked job goes directly into your software and becomes one of our advanced marketing analytics, which is really cool. We can automatically select the marketing campaign of your choice based on how the customer came to your site.
Yeah, Tersh, those industry-leading analytics tells you everything that you're going to want to know about your lead, where they came from, what they did before scheduling, and what page they converted on, plus other things. On average, about 75% of people who start a booking with our app complete it, but we'll give you a more granular reporting that shows conversion rates based on marketing source and medium to help improve your marketing efforts.
So wait a minute, what about the other 25% that didn't book? How do you as a consumer deal with your current scheduler helping you to reach out to those lost leads?
It's a great question, Tersh. So is when we say we help you book more jobs, we mean it. So we'll help you instantly send a text message to customers who didn't complete their booking, helping you to keep the conversation going and your schedule full.
So honestly, with no contracts, affordable monthly rates, you really don't have anything to lose. And so it's a great program to try out. And if you use SBM, when you go to sign up for it, you'll actually save $1,500 on the setup fees. So honestly, give it a shot. Tell us what you think.
If you're a contractor with multiple CSRs, check out this Service Business Mastery podcast partner, Lace.ai. Lace uses cutting-edge AI to analyze your phone calls, uncover lost revenue opportunities, and empower your CSRs to convert more leads. You can significantly increase revenue without spending extra on marketing or hiring by using Lace.ai to boost your conversion rates. For the first time, you can gain deep insights into customer needs at scale with minimal effort. Elevate your call center to achieve industry-leading booking rates and revenue. Visit www.lace.ai to book a demo today. Now back to the show.
Hello, everyone out there. You're watching or listening to the Service Business Mastery podcast. I'm getting distracted by people in the crowd over here. We're live here at AHR 2025 in Orlando. My name's Tersh, for those who don't know me, and this is my co-host, Joshua Crouch. And if you'll notice, we don't have a guest up here with us today, and that's on purpose. For this session, we are going to actually talk about AI and automation. We've done one presentation this morning on this, but we're actually going to take some crowd questions. If at any point you have a question or just curious naturally about some AI products that are out there or automating to solve a problem with your business, we have a microphone up here at the front. Feel free to come up and ask your question. But with that being said, Josh, what's your take on AI at this moment?
My take, as far as is this going to take over the world?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the question everybody wants to know, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be at a tipping point probably later this year where there's going to be some things where you start hearing some people are automating away jobs and stuff like that. I know you and I both share the philosophy that there's so much that can be done within our businesses already that we should enhance the people we have. Like, for example, and that's not what this whole episode's about, but Tersh and I are launching a product that's actually going to help. We have a team at our digital marketing agency that listens to and records phone calls. And our team manually tags all those calls. That department is, outside of maybe one or two QA, QC people, is going to be move to doing something else.
Yeah.
But instead of replacing them, we're looking for other things for them to do because we have good people. We just want to find other things that are more beneficial for the company to move forward.
Can you go into a little bit of details about what is replacing their position?
Yeah. So the program that Tersh and I have created is called Phone Tap. It's an AI call analysis tool, AI call analysis and automation tool. So essentially, it taps into your phone system and will analyze your calls. It will tag them like qualified lead, not booked, qualified lead, booked, needs follow-up, things like that. And you can automate certain tasks from that. Along with that, it's going to have some AI instant coaching and some gamification for CSRs as far as like how they're actually booking calls. Because a lot of contractors we talk to think they have an 80, 85, 90% booking rate.
Yeah.
And through our analysis, like last year, we had over 250,000 phone calls we analyzed. And the industry average for HVAC was 53.4%.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of missed opportunity, and people just don't know. It might not even be necessarily missed opportunity from the people taking the phone calls. It could be that there's pricing objections and we don't know how to handle them and we need more training. Our schedule's too full, or we're booking people too far out. And if we don't know that those problems exist inside of our business, we can't do anything about it. So the goal for us is
what you're mentioning, and what I want people to really understand is the fact that this is not to replace CSRs for any reason. What it is instead of having to call your marketing agency and say, "Hey, I need more leads," we had the leads in house, but we're just not booking the calls properly because we've listened to calls and
or you don't know that the issue exists.
Exactly. And
you might think a CSR is doing really good. And like some of the big programs like Service Titan,
yeah,
the CSR is in charge of determining if it was a lead or not, which skews their numbers. And sometimes people get bonuses based on those booking percentages. So there's a lot of opportunity for skewed data, and skewed data doesn't help any business.
Nope, absolutely not. And our goal is to help you spend less money by using the leads that you have now that are capitalizing on the leads that are coming in at this moment.
So I don't know if any of you guys in the crowd know Tommy Mello, huge company, 30 states, $250 million garage door company, A1 Garage Doors. We were talking to someone who has a similar program for much bigger companies to Phone Tap, and he told us that a 1% increase over the course of a year in booking means an additional $2.4 million for his company. And there's a ton of, and that's just one phase of our company. We're not talking about the technicians in home. We're not talking about anything else as far as nurturing those customers long term. And that's where Tersh and I, that's why our talk this morning was about automation and AI. And because we asked the question, what do you want to automate in your business? And we get a lot of blank stares and a lot of people that their eyes glaze over and they're like, you know what? You guys tell me what I can automate and I'll tell you if that's something I want to do. And it's kind of a waste of time for everybody because we don't know their programs and what they can automate. So we're trying to give ideas and try to educate people on what the potential is.
Honestly, the way that I approach this situation is, what task are you completing manually twice in 1 week? And let's automate it. And so Josh and I have this thing that a mentor of ours came up with, but he said that we're allowed to steal it and duplicate it. But it's called optimize, automate, and then delegate. So when we have a process or procedure in our company, first thing we want to do is optimize the process. And then if at all possible, we're going to automate that process. If we cannot automate it, we're going to delegate it. Unless it's something that we as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, really truly need to have our hands in at all times, let's automate it. Let's delegate it to someone else, because just because we are capable of doing it doesn't mean that we need to be doing it. Like, you have a hero complex, and we want to avoid that because that ultimately costs us money, having that hero mentality.
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, there, like Tersh said, if we had someone come up to us at the end of our presentation, he was asking me, he's like, our stuff's a mess in the office and we're always behind on doing commercial maintenance. And then he was like, can I automate some of it? And I said, well, if you automate a terrible process, you're going to get a terrible result. Yeah. So we have to optimize that process first and organize that thing. And I gave him a recommendation of a book. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And inside that book, and Dan Martell uses several methodologies, but he talks about the camcorder method. And the camcorder method essentially is, if there is a process that you repeat, like Tersh said, multiple times, or two or more, I think is the example.
Yeah.
record yourself doing it or record the person doing it. Because what the example this guy gave me was the person that schedules our commercial maintenances thinks that they're the only person, and they kind of like hoard the process. And the problem with that is now that they are handcuffed in their business, because if that person leaves, if that person's sick, they're stuck and they don't know what to do, and nobody else knows how to replace them. And it's not that we're trying to replace everyone, but we need to have a business where we can move tasks and shift them around based on people's skill sets and what they love to do. And I think that's a problem a lot of our businesses have. I've been in businesses where I had an admin in the office and they hoard everything and nobody knows how to do whatever the task is. So if they're out, nobody knows where the warranty paperwork left off or the permitting process, and it's just a mess. So optimizing that process and then recording that process and having it in a stored library like a Trainual or some other kind of learning platform can be really beneficial to enhancing the entire company and making the entire company flow better.
What do you recommend to use as a tool for recording some processes?
My favorite's Loom.
Loom. Okay. Yeah. And you use Guide, don't you?
Yeah, Guide with 2 Ds. Guide is great if you guys are in the office and want to record a process. What it will do is actually, as you're clicking the mouse, it will take screenshots for you. Because the worst part about creating a process and document is having to screenshot everything and then put all the steps in there. So it screenshots it, knows where the clicks is, and it'll essentially take your words and say, click this button, do this next, and it creates a really itemized process.
For anybody in the crowd listening to this and thinking about using Guide, I will caution you with one thing. When you are scrolling down the screen, use your mouse and like the mouse ball to scroll down. Don't hit the down button 50 times because you're going to have 50 shots of the down button, and it's going to say, press down, 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 down. Just
sounds like you've done that one.
Yeah, a couple of times I've actually done that.
But so that's the first step, is we have to have a great process. And one of the other tips of having a great process is record the process, give it to someone who has never done the process before. Have them try it.
See where they get stuck.
And that's going to tell you what you can fix.
Yep.
And then you come back, you fix it, give it back to them again. And you're going to realize, like, you're going to get something that's super itemized. Log in here, press this button, do this. Oh, make sure you do this before you click this button. And it really helps open up the process where anyone can fill in. So if you have an underperforming employee and they need to go, you have a process you can replace and hire someone. So you're not...
Or heaven forbid, like something that puts them in a hospital or extended time off. Maybe a relative of theirs is in the hospital and they need to take time off. Well, other than having to call them constantly and ask them questions, the processes are written down and well documented. So therefore, it's not like you don't miss them, but they don't hinder the company, the operation of the business, the day-to-day operations.
Yeah. So that's the first step. Then from there, you can decide if you want to automate the process or not.
Automation or delegation. And honestly, for me, entrepreneurs, we are supposed to be the forward thinkers, the dreamers in the business. Sometimes it's hard to make that transition from a manager to an entrepreneur. For those in the crowd, have y'all read E-Myth Revisited? That's like
some head shakes.
Yeah, that's like the foundation of businesses. Once I read that book, or actually I listened to it on Audible, there was so many aha moments, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't be a technician and the manager and the entrepreneur all at once. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I try to do all of those things because in my life, I've had them processes. Like I've been the technician, I've been the manager, and I've been the entrepreneur. But to try and balance them all, you're going to fail. It's very rare that you're capable of doing them all at the same time. So anybody that hasn't read that book, I challenge you to read that book and really honestly read it a couple times, because I've read it 4 or 5 times, and every time I learned something new even about myself and along my journey.
Yeah. I think something that's also overlooked, I feel like the trades have gotten a lot better at hiring virtual assistants, executives. There is a difference. Virtual assistants are more just kind of common tasks, things that you do multiple times throughout the day, week, month. Can be things like basic bookkeeping tasks or social media, things like that. I have an executive assistant that manages my email, my calendar, gives me an updated report. Literally, like, so my meetings for tomorrow, if I was back in the office, I would have a detailed list at the end of the day of my meetings, exactly what we're covering in that meeting. And then also in we use a 1-2-3 system. I don't use the 1-3-5 that you do. But for emails, I don't check my email. She'll tell me, 1, it's super important. You got to get to it today. 2, if you have time today, you should get to it soon. 3 is like, hey, check it this week. So if there's nothing that's super priority, I don't check those things and I keep that tab closed. But as you develop these processes, you start looking for more opportunity. But the key is you got to hire someone. Like, you got to put that pressure on yourself to hire someone and give them work. Mm-hmm. We discussed this in our marketing business. Like, we need another onboarding person, but we're not quite ready for the work yet. But hiring that person, knowing that you're going to, in the future, need that work, just like a technician, it forces you as a business owner to put pressure on yourself to find work. Mm-hmm. And that pressure is what helps grow the company.
But once you automate things, once you've optimized the processes and you've automated or delegated the task, what do you do with yourself at that point in time?
Send dad jokes to your friends.
Yes, absolutely. Send dad jokes. That's what I do. I send dad jokes to Josh. Josh hates them. I love the fact that he hates them, so I send more.
And he has automated this process, and he uses OpenAI or ChatGPT to, I don't even know how he does it, but it's a private
magic, and I will not share the details.
He won't let me have access to it because he knows I'll delete it.
He will. And I won't let that happen. So you made a really good point. A couple of days ago, you made a social media post, and I don't know how it came on my timeline or how I even checked it because I despise social media. But I happened to check it and seen you made a post. You were I think you're reading 4-Hour Workweek. Everybody familiar with 4-Hour Workweek?
Tim Ferriss?
The entire concept of doing a week's worth of work in 4 hours. It changes your mentality as far as busy work goes. But you made a post about once you've automated and optimized all your processes, what do you do then?
Nothing. Sit on a beach.
Yeah,
that was a goal. But I think the point of at least where I'm at in the book, because I'm a third of the way through or so. So I was just reflecting on my thoughts while we were traveling to AHR. But the core component was there are so many. It's funny when we give someone 8 hours to do something. Guess what takes 8 hours? If we give them 4. Guess what? They get it done in 4. If we give them a week, it takes a week. And a lot of the things we're just like really trying to figure out how to train people to communicate with you. And he talks about how to, like, first of all, people check email. Like, I'm, until recently, super guilty of this. I have email and Slack open all day, and I check it all day. As soon as a notification in Slack, guess what I'm open? I'm opening Slack. Oh, the little red icon. I got to check Slack and see what's going on. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Make sure there's no emergencies. And he talks about
the average interruption on a desktop, on your desktop computer, the every time that thing pops up, the notification bar pops up, takes 7 minutes for you to mentally focus back. Even if you only glance at it, you don't click on anything else, you glance at it, it takes 7 minutes for your brain to refocus back on the task you were performing. If I could stress anything to everybody here, turn notifications off. Dedicate a certain time of the day to inspect your emails. And if it's not that time of day, and set a timer, there's these little blocks that you can buy on Amazon, and you flip it over 15 minutes. 20 minutes is perfect. That's what you want, is 20 minutes. I haven't found too many 20-minute long ones, but 15 minutes, you flip it over, and at that 15-minute mark, check your email for 15 minutes. If you haven't finished in 15 minutes, you move on to the next task. What that does is it creates priority. You really prioritize the emails. Like if it's a junk email that you really don't really care about, but you spend 15 minutes on it, but you know you need to get to the rest of your emails,
you're going to prioritize.
You're going to spin right through that one a lot faster than what you would have normally. And because we've all been guilty of like, okay, we're going to spend 5 minutes reading this Facebook Messenger post, and then next thing you know, 3 hours later, you're scrolling on TikTok and Instagram at the reels because you've seen this tractor get bogged down in the mud over here, and you're like, oh, that's cool. We've done
my favorites when I log into Facebook, knowing I'm going to go do something very specific, like message someone specifically that I don't have their phone number for. And then the first post gets me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
And then I
just keep scrolling. I'm like,
"Josh, delete."
Why am I on Facebook?
Delete that comment you made there, Josh. I'm just kidding.
It's so
like, be very intentional with your time. Time is the one resource that we cannot gain back. except unless you learn how to automate things. That's how you buy back your time.
Tersh, I was asked a really interesting question after our presentation. So the guy came up to me and asked me, like, have you ever done a study on how much time each task saves you? And my answer was, I was honest. I did a little bit. I actually did it with the AI review reply thing that we set up.
Yeah.
Where anytime a Google review comes in, AI automatically responds to it and posts the review. And I kind of did it like I used one of our clients that gets like 90 or 100 reviews a month, and just kind of did the math. If every review takes 30 or 60 seconds to reply to for a human, you do the math over the course of a year, it was like literally days of work saved. And that was just one type of task. We were doing some stuff for our presentation this morning. I logged in. We have 50,000 tasks per month on our Zapier account, and we have to upgrade.
Yeah.
So if you look at if you do the math, I don't know if anyone's got a calculator open, but 5 seconds per task at 50,000 tasks a month, it's an enormous amount of savings. But the key is, and this is where even we struggle with this.
Yes.
We automate things, but then we find something else to do with our time that's kind of a waste of time. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're working on we're still working on figuring out the priority things every single day, but it does free us up to do deeper things. And that's why, I don't know, what do we have, 3 or 4 businesses together, plus we have separate ones. We're able to do a lot of different things, which
Total, for me, yeah.
Yeah, which can be a good and bad thing.
Good and bad, yeah. A little bit of 80.
It frees you up to do those things.
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
So if you have other ideas or other interests or other hobbies or things that you want to do, you can have some of that monotonous work done either through a virtual assistant, an executive assistant, or have it automated. Or if you love your team enough, help them automate some of their tasks.
Yes.
A new form submission comes in. Instead of having them manually copy paste or take the customer's number down and move it over to Service Titan or House Call Pro or Sarah, it can automate that process. You can automate the touch point when a customer comes in through text message, form submission, missed calls. You can automate the initial touch point to all of those things. You can automate your estimate follow-ups. There's a lot of things that can be done. It's just a matter of what is a painful thing for you in your business today. So that way, when you ask us a question, we can help you with it.
Josh, what things would you not, at what scenario would you not automate or delegate?
Remembering our anniversary date, my wife's birthday.
That's a perfect thing to automate.
No.
Automating that is great, like an automation reminder.
I mean, unless it's one heck of an automation where we're sending a song or
like what you would do on that date. I probably wouldn't automate or delegate that. Delegate that task to someone else. He's like, no, we're not delegating that task to other people.
I don't want to delegate those tasks either.
There's not a whole lot of things that I could think of that I wouldn't want to delegate.
Let's give some examples in a home service business because you still run them and you still do automation. We talked about the massage thing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh,
I think there's some stuff from the customer journey that people can take away.
Okay, so for those who haven't heard, we have a process that's automated. Anything that's over $5,000 is sold. It automatically sends a notification to a young lady named Mary. Now, Mary is a mobile massage therapist, and so she will actually reach out to the homeowner and set up an appointment to come out and give them a massage to help them de-stress during a stressful time, because replacing your air conditioning unit, you're hot. We live in Savannah, Georgia. It's hot, humid. During the middle of summer, they're not happy. So we've changed out the air conditioning unit. It's a stressful time. People probably didn't expect it. So it's an automated process that sends Mary out there, and we have actually gotten raving reviews from it. And I forget about it. We set it up. We set up the process, and then I just forgot about it. And I actually get these random phone calls sometimes, and they're like, my wife is crying because she's over here getting a massage, and she just was so stressed out. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? And then it registers. Oh yeah, Mary's gone over there and done that. Now I do pay the invoice, but from Mary, but it's a negligible amount of money for a system replacement. I mean, it's like $400 or $500, and like you have a lifetime impression on the client. Another automation that we've done is sending out birthday cards or balloons and flowers to the office or the work of the person that we did the install for. And they're like, it's not my birthday. And I'm like, well, yeah, we know. It's your air conditioning unit's birthday. They're carrying around balloons and flowers for a date that's not their birthday in the office, and everybody's like, they don't know that's not your birthday? Like, yeah, they know, but they sent it anyways. It's for my air conditioning unit's birthday. And little things like that are completely automated. Here's another one that's great. When you have an employee or a team member onboarding process, ask them their anniversary, their wedding anniversary. You send them a reminder the week prior to their anniversary, reminding them, hey, your anniversary is such and such date. But don't stop there. Also, send the spouse we do edible arrangements, edible bouquet, so fruit or arrangements to their house, not signed from me or Julie. It's signed from the spouse. So, brownie points. They've probably forgotten again, because most of them are males in their industry, and they've forgot, even though they got a reminder last week. Now they got something delivered, and then it's not uncommon. We've literally had them call and be like, I got home and I was so confused because my wife was so happy.
Like someone was hitting on her wife.
So thankful. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And she's like, well, you sent me this, and it's signed by him. And then he's like, then I had to play catch up. I was like, oh yeah, that's for me. All right. And the guys, most of them, like, we mention it, but we mention it in passing. And so it's just, they forget about it, honestly. And, little things like that. And another one for the onboarding process is the kid's birthday. Like, if you have kids, when's the birthday? And I have to preface, like, hey, I'm not being a weirdo or anything. Like, just know, I don't want your kids' information. It goes straight into this applicant tracking system, and that builds an automation. So on your kid's birthday, we will send them a gift card for whatever, like Xbox Live or whatever it is, just so you know that, like, we're not stalking kids or anything weirdo.
So Who Hire is actually built for the trades. We use it for our marketing agency because we actually, the great thing about having a podcast is we meet all these really cool people with really cool stuff. We end up buying more stuff than the people.
Want to sell us something? Become a guest on the podcast.
Literally, we had the episode. His name is Jonathan, and he was telling us about Who Hire. And we were going through it. All of our employees are remote in the U.S., and we get hundreds of applicants within like 72 to 96 hours of making a post on Indeed and stuff like that. It was a nightmare. We were going to hire someone about $75,000, $85,000 to manage this stuff for us, like a human resources administrator. And there's perfect time. We had the podcast episode. This is built for the trades. Like companies that I mentioned, Tommy Mello, companies like his use Who Hire, and they run ads all the time. And what happens is, the program uses AI with a bunch of different stuff. One of the partners has been assessing candidates for like 20 years. She's got a lot of the psychology behind it, and they built an AI program. It's called the Reggie Blueprint, and helps identify flight risk, if they're the right fit for that specific role based on their personality. And then it also automates the process. So somebody applies, we can send them a couple initial questions. As soon as they're done with those questions, it alerts us. We give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down to move forward in the process. If it's thumbs up, an email gets sent out and a text message saying, hey, great, you move forward in the process. Here's the next step. If we decline them, like 3 to 6 hours later, it will send out an email, hey, sorry, we're not moving forward with you at this time. You're not the right fit. And you can even do one-way video interview. And then it keeps everything in its own. It's like a CRM for applicants. So it's very specific in what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about AI products in general, has anybody seen a device like this or this? Yeah. Okay. So this guy's seen it. He's wearing
Thanks,
one.
Matthew. Johnny on the spot over there.
Johnny on the spot. So these are AI note takers. This is the latest version. This is a version 1 of, and it's called Plaud. If you go to Service Business Mastery,
PLAUD.
yeah. Go to servicebusinessmastery.com/marketplace, and there's discount codes for getting things like this. But I've worn this on a service call, right? And was helping a technician help diagnose it. It was a commercial system. Those 2 systems actually. And I wrote out a prompt inside of Claude because you can create custom ones if you'd like. And it's literally took the entire conversation. We were like, I think we were there for like 2 hours or so, 2.5 hours. And it took all of the information and made extremely detailed. You could have made it an invoice, but it was just notes on the entire service call. So like I didn't have to remember anything. It was all just spit it right out, like the measurements of all of the voltage. Like, so like I'm reading I have my meter hooked up to it and I'm like, okay, so we have 224 volts on this leg and we have, 180 volts on this leg. Like, so we dropped a leg over here. We're on a 3-phase system. And, so like little things like that, it called all that and it organized the whole thing. Problems with the system. They don't have a filter. They haven't had a filter since they put it in. And then the owner of the company calls me on the roof while I'm up there, and he's like, "Yeah, these systems are only 2 years old. Why are they?" And I said, "Well, you haven't had an air filter in it for 2 years, and it's impacted with dirt, and the smoke detector has shorted everything out." And he's like, "Yeah, but they're only 2 years old. Why are they failing?" I'm like, "Oh man, I don't think I explained that very well, but you haven't had an air filter in here for 2 years and it's impacted with dirt." And so like all of that's recorded. And then also the great thing about it is you can delete stuff out of it, because as soon as I hung up the phone call, I promptly
start choice work.
But then I was like, okay, let's get rid of that.
So think of these like, and you guys do Zoom calls and do like see Fathom recordings or read.ai. Think of that. That's what this is, but this is for in-person or phone calls.
Yeah.
So that's the way to remember what this is. It does very similar things. You can give it like certain prompts to like put your notes in a certain way. If you have a certain sales philosophy or something, creates a mind map. It creates a bunch of questions and stuff. So you can go back and revisit the recording later.
And the thing about like, you come to an event like this, expos are the reason why I originally bought this. Josh and I purchased one of these is because you come to an expo and you go from one booth to the next booth to the next booth. And you're like, oh my God, I know I talked to this guy about this, or that gal over there. I can't remember her name. And we just talked about this over here. Well, I recorded the whole time and then it just breaks it up per booth. It can tell when you've moved from one booth to the next booth. And I try my best to repeat the person's name. So then the AI actually catches the name and then plugs it in. Okay, you're with this booth. This is the name. And it'll break it down per booth that you went to. And it's just a game changer. So I don't have to remember every single thing that I have talked to every single person about. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people here and you bump into them and hell, we've probably seen each other at a different trade show and that conversation probably happened somewhere else, but you can't remember because you see so many people.
So we've obviously talked a lot of different stuff here. The goal is to keep this stuff from having to build up in your head and having to remember everything, because that is the worst spot to be, because like anything can happen. We've seen the news. There's been some plane crash, some really tragic stuff. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day. Having this stuff written down, having systems, processes are the most, if you're not talking about systems and processes in your business every single day, which I know sucks because I hate talking about them every day, but they are the most important things. And there's a lot of things you can do with those processes to make your life easier. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do with this stuff.
We didn't talk about this morning, and I don't know why we didn't talk about it other than we talked about a gazillion other things. But everybody uses, familiar with ChatGPT, correct? Everybody in the crowd, right? So I wrote a custom GPT that's called Home Service SOPs, and it literally will create an SOP for your business, whatever you want it to be for. And it's very consistent.
Who loves writing SOPs?
Same exact format over and over again.
Vigorously shaking his head. Hell no.
No,
I love it.
Literally, it's as simple as create an SOP for a dispatcher's daily task. Boom. And it spits it out. And then
you obviously have to tweak it for your business, right? Yeah. And the things that are unique to you, but it gets you 90% of the, or like the Pareto principle, 80-20.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because we delegate everybody, like, okay, so to our CSR, create SOP, like each task you're doing, create an SOP. But the worst thing in the world is to get, and I did this, I learned this the hard way. You get an SOP from Haley, and then you get an SOP from Gab, and you get an SOP from Charlie, and then all of a sudden, everybody's SOPs look completely different. They're one super detailed with bullet points. The other one is just like one word, and you're like, oh, thanks for that one. So that's the reason why I created this actual custom GPT. Anybody wants it, just let me know, and I'll send you a link to it. I'm more than happy to do that. But it just creates a very consistent one, and you can even, or we can do it. You can create one that already has your company's information in it, so no, you don't have to like put the name of the company and who the person is to approve everything, because
it's all formatted the same. I think that's the
exact same.
It's just the very same format. We've done the same thing with job descriptions.
Yeah.
We've done the same thing with scorecards for different employees and stuff. So that way they know how we're keeping score and how they can win. So there's a lot of things like that.
One of the really cool things, and I didn't realize how cool it was. I thought I was just being lazy, but I put my handbook inside of a custom GPT, and it doesn't have access to the internet. It can only read the handbook. And so then you can put it inside of a chat bot on your website that, like, maybe you have a back-end party website that only employees have access to, or a Slack channel or Teams channel. And they can literally just ask that chat bot,
like, what's the PTO policy?
What's PTO policy?
What days do we have off? What are federal? What holidays?
And then it's so intuitive that it actually is. It gives you the dates that are paid holidays, but then it also gives you the stipulations, like what are the requirements in order to get paid for the holiday. It gives you all of that information as well. And if you have questions, you ask it more questions, and then it'll keep giving you the responses. The smoking policy, I didn't even remember this, but somebody was like, well, what's your smoking policy? And I said, well, let's check and see. So I put it inside there. I asked the question, and it gave a ton of details. And I was like, I don't remember ever adding any of that stuff in there. So I went back and actually looked at the handbook, and it's all right there in plain writing. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I thought I was being lazy, but it turns out a lot of people like to have it, and it doesn't access the internet. So it's not going to pull in information that you don't really want any of your team members to have access to. One of the other things that we built out was, Julie, my wife has a Lincoln Aviator, and when we purchased it, we purchased a lot of the extended warranties with it. And I'm an anti-extended warranty type person. I think they're all scams. And so we had an issue where, a belt broke on the tire, and because she had a pothole or something, maybe, or a curb. So we took it to the dealership, and they were like, yeah, this isn't covered under warranty. And you're like, huh. So all of the documents from when we purchased the car, like all of the documents, I blacked out all of our sensitive information, so it couldn't be scanned in, but everything else is in there, and the custom GPT. And so then I asked the custom GPT, hey, this is what they're saying. What's the case? Well, actually, on this page of this document, on this line item, it clearly says that anything that happens because you've hit a pothole on the road is covered under the extended warranty, no matter how bald the tires are. So the tires can be slicks, but they'll still covered under warranty. I was like, oh, great. So then we have this conversation. We go back to the service manager and say, hey, look, on this line, it says it's covered. And it's like, yeah, that's right. But then he came back with something else. And I wasn't playing that game, so I just put it straight in there. So then he was having a conversation with ChatGPT, but didn't know it, and just went right through. And they're like, yep, this is covered, this is covered, this is covered, and this is covered. And I was like,
so what you're saying is you shouldn't buy extended warranties because they're going to try to get out of it.
They will try and get out of it, but if you have something like this that can cite the actual documentation and say, actually,
they capitalize on people. They know people aren't going to read a 30-page document.
Oh, exactly. They're just going to give up, and they're not going to read the fine print that I scanned and put in there. I never would have read any of that, because the first thing that I did whenever I scanned it all in was, where am I open to liabilities? That's the first question I asked it, and it said, You're pretty good. You're pretty well taken care of. And I said, are there any loopholes where they can get out of this situation? And they said, no, it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid contract that you have written up. I was like, okay, cool. Because I wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to get screwed over because they're like, oh, you actually are one day past your. Has anybody ever gone and had their BMW serviced and regularly serviced, and then under warranty, servicing would have been covered, but because they waited until the next oil change, it wasn't covered under warranty, and it ended up being $4,000 to repair it?
That's a you problem.
It happened, and ever since then, I'm like, every single time. Like, check for service bulletins. Check your service bulletins. Like, why do I have to ask you that? But see, as my experience as the consumer, it pissed me off. Could you imagine your client doing the same exact thing? And it's like, okay, you're at the 5-year mark. You didn't register the warranty, or you moved in there and didn't register it. You have a leaking evaporator coil. Well, it's 4.5 years. The next time we come out here to do a tune-up, it's going to be out of warranty. We might want to go ahead and change this evap coil out. But you don't mention it. And then next time you come out there, oh, now it's going to be $4,000. Oh yeah, I want to throat punch somebody. At least, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's just me personally. Maybe I just woke up and chose violence.
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
Tersh, I want to talk about something that's a hot topic in the digital marketing space: missed calls. You were telling me the other day you have a unique way of making sure 100% of your calls are answered. What the heck are you doing?
It's actually really cool. So, we always talk about AI and automation. Well, now I don't have to worry about missed calls anymore because we use Avoca.ai, and it's an AI voice agent. And every time a phone call comes in and say one of our CSRs are busy or even after hours, we've actually completely done away with after hours call center. Avoca picks up the phone and it announces that it's an AI agent. Her name's actually Sarah, and she's really cool. And it's great because every time you get a conversation going, and that entire conversation is transcribed and gets sent to Slack, text message, or onto their dashboard. And then if some of the CRMs that we're using out there, actually you can book the call through the CRM as well. So that's a really cool thing too. So, I mean, honestly, if anybody hasn't checked this out already, www.avoca.ai.
So, guys, if these problems are yours and you want to fix them, head over to www.avoca.ai and discover how they're helping service businesses like yours maximize every lead that you get. The question was, once you have these SOPs built, the best way to implement them with your team. And I think it's a hard question to answer because everyone's different. The team is different. The dynamic, the culture is different. So a lot of that depends on who's at the company.
And sometimes
if you have some people that
buy in on it.
Well, ideally with some of the SOPs, you'd have some managers or some team members, like you said, buy into it, and they're helping push it, because if you get pushed from other people and not just the boss, whoever the boss is, definitely does a lot better.
Okay, so here's a couple of, and we're not business coaches, just so you're aware. So take our advice with a grain of salt. We build AI and automations, but based on experience and based on what we've seen has worked. So if you use this SOP builder, it creates a very consistent. You can literally, copy and paste it into a Google Drive. And so like I store a ton of things like that inside of a locked Google Drive so that no one else can edit it. And then I will combine them all together and then put them back into a custom GPT that's a searchable GPT. So then you can go through that and just literally ask the question and it answers it completely. What I would challenge you to do is to review an SOP a week, like have a technician review it, like present it, and as long as they can teach it, then that proves that they understand it. Now there are certain SOPs that just are there because one time there was a liability issue and you had to create an SOP for it. Like, do you want to train on that every Wednesday? No, probably not. But when you're first introducing it, what I always did was I sent it out to everyone, and I needed a signed copy, like signing, acknowledging that you read it. And
there are platforms out there too when you put this stuff in, like Trainual's
good one. Yeah,
probably one of the better ones out there.
They're here, or they're usually here. We usually actually haven't been in there to look, but they're always here.
Yeah, we use Trainual in our business. We use it for both training, and the nice thing is when you record those videos we talked about, the camcorder method of recording yourself, you can record the task and the process. And also when you do that, it's best to like talk about like what are you thinking about when you're walking through this? Like, am I looking for this or looking for that? Because
thinking that I hate my job.
That's why you record it. You don't have to do it once.
Oh.
That's a great question though. because that's something all companies struggle with, is like putting that stuff together. We see corporate companies have it, but like most companies in the HVAC industry, especially on the contract, we're small.
Yeah.
It's hard to put that stuff together and format it, and
sometimes it's tough to justify the cost of it. And TrainingWell is one of those that's not expensive.
no, it's really not.
It's very affordable.
It is. Yeah, we use it. We have 20 employees on it. So all that stuff, then you can create folders in different departments and stuff. So you can create all kinds of stuff.
Make sure they pass the test before they get to the next.
He asked if there's a comprehensive list of programs that we've vetted. And so Tersh mentioned the link actually on our website, servicebusinessmastery.com/marketplace. We have a lot of programs. We have things like this on there that we use in our business. Everything that we put on there, we use, whether it's his business, my business, or one of our businesses together. We use all these platforms.
If you're looking for automation ideas as well, there's also there's a tab. If you're on your phone, it's the little hamburger thing on the right. It says automation ideas, and it's literally a list of 75 or so automations. Now, I will say that we created that about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and it's a very small percentage of automations that we even do. So if you have a question about a different automation, feel free to ask. But those automations, they have links to show you step by step how to build out the automations. They're pretty generic. We wanted to make sure they were generic so that they would fit all the like a lot of different businesses.
Yeah, and we talk about this stuff a lot. Actually, Matthew showed us the Plod thing. He's in our community. We have it's a paid community. It's $97 a month. You can have as many team members as you want.
For no charge.
It's a community where people that we talk about AI and automation. We meet every Friday for an AMA call, so you have direct access to us and questions like this. And then we also have a course inside of that community for the same $97 a month that teaches you how to use things like Zapier or Make.com to take data from one platform, move it to another, and have it do another task, and start that process so that we can start understanding what is possible with automation.
Does anybody else have any questions? We could talk for days on AI and automation, but we don't want to overtalk you all if you have a question about it at all.
Yeah, please feel free to speak up. This is a great opportunity. I mean, this is great for us too, because these questions are sometimes content that we wouldn't think about putting out ourselves.
Yeah.
So if there's anything like, I wonder if we can do this, it's a great time to ask. Otherwise, we'll give you guys back the last 5 minutes of the time we have.
Cool.
All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.